Okay, I spoke today about the United States policy towards the Arab Spring. My name is Greg Aftandilian, and I'm a senior fellow on the Middle East for the Center for National Policy in Washington, D.C. My talk was basically analyzing the Obama administration's approach, how it went about dealing with various countries in the Middle East that went through the Arab awakening. My conclusions were that the Obama administration treated each country on a case-by-case basis as opposed to a unified approach. In some countries where there was a meshing of strategic and idealistic goals, the United States was quite forceful, particularly in a place like Egypt. Because the military in Egypt had long-standing ties to the United States, and when the military decided to distance itself from the Mubarak regime, the United States was in some respects relieved because they felt the military would be a good shepherd to transition to democracy, even though there have been problems along the way since the revolt of February of 2011 and revolution. The United States is still dealing with the new Egypt, still having ties to the Egyptian military, at the same time as trying to reach out to the new political forces that have emerged, like the Muslim Brotherhood, one of whose leaders has now become president of Egypt. Places like Bahrain, it was a different case where even though the United States recognized the legitimate grievances of the demonstrators, particularly of the Shia in Bahrain, who have been largely disenfranchised, the Saudi government and the UAE government came in to support the Bahraini authorities to put down the demonstrators and what they were calling for, and the United States response was quite muted. Even though in subsequent months the United States continues to call for the Bahraini authorities to undertake reforms, it has not pushed the government that strongly, partially because of strategic interests. The United States has the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, but also because of its long-standing ties to the Saudi government. On a question of Syria and Libya, in one case, the United States did intervene militarily, but it did so in a very limited way, and that was supported by the American public. But in Syria, it has not. In Syria, I think the United States, particularly during election year, does not want to get bogged down militarily in a country where the outcome of such an intervention is very uncertain. We do not know yet who would replace the Assad regime, and to intervene in the midst of a civil war has all kinds of military and political ramifications that I think a lot of people, not just the United States, but elsewhere in the Western world, particularly in Europe, want to avoid. Tragically, as many people are getting killed. But it does beg the question, why does the West intervene in one case and not in the other? It's a very complex situation. But at this particular point, there seems to be no real incentive by either the United States or the Western European countries to intervene militarily, even though strategically many people have argued the fall of the regime there would deal Iran a strategic blow in the Levant region.